This needs to be said. Backup quarterbacks are important, and sometimes they can win a league. Far too many content creators out there just gloss over the topic and say things like, just grab anybody, or you don't need 3 quarterbacks in a 1 QB league. Let me tell you something. I've been doing this 20 years, and I'll tell you this right now. If you're a big trader, a lot of trades can be opened up via a quarterback being added into a deal when a team loses their quarterback, or when a team, better yet, has a quarterback that doesn't deliver. Anthony Richardson's on this list, but maybe somebody drafts him and he doesn't live up to expectations, and you've got one of these big monsters you can trade. We're breaking down why these 3 guys, among a few other quarterbacks, are vital to be thrown onto your bench, and why sometimes grabbing 3 of them in a 1 QB league leads to victory. Make backup quarterbacks great again. The Fantasy Football Show begins right now.
From the FantasyFootballShow.com studios, it's the Fantasy Football Show.
This topic is long overdue because I use this strategy every single year to win leagues, to win trades, to put myself in an advantageous position, to recover from an injury. And let me explain for a second what I mean by recover from an injury. Cooper Kupp, I even gave this example a month ago on the channel, maybe more than a month ago, that if you go into the season with little Cooper Kupp and you take the risk on Cooper Kupp, which I told you not to take, and you take him number 4 or number 5 overall, and he suffers a re-injury, which he did, then you're in a little bit of a pinch and you need to make a move. What better move to make than to say to yourself, okay, I'm already down and out. I'm already behind. I've got Aaron Rodgers. I've got Jordan Love on my bench right now, and I've got a quarterback that's a top 4 or 5 quarterback. You got Lamar Jackson, and now you can trade Lamar away for a wide receiver. Let's say it's a St. Brown, an Olave. You're going from Lamar Jackson to Jordan Love. Risky, I know. Rolling the dice, I know, but it is a fun move to make. Aaron Rodgers, he's going to have a great year. You're making that downgrade in your lineup, taking your quarterback piece and you're trading it away for an Olave, for a Ridley, for a piece that you can throw right in your Cooper Kupp spot. The problem with having one quarterback, and this is where I laugh when analysts say, and some analysts have said this about me, you can't draft 3 quarterbacks in a 1 QB league, which is really ridiculous when you think about it, because in this particular situation, when I'm obviously targeting quarterback trades throughout the year all the time, there are tons of teams that don't have a consistent quarterback. They thought they did. They drafted a guy like Anthony Richardson, one of our potential backup quarterbacks. Some people bank on him. He doesn't work out. And then what? Or in the case of Lamar, some people draft Lamar, who's disappointed 3 straight years in a row. Lamar Jackson owners have been my target, where I go after that owner and say, hey, I've got a Jordan Love. Hey, I've got an Aaron Rodgers. They're popping off. I'm not saying Lamar will disappoint again. I'm saying that you'll probably have somebody, and he could, but somebody that has a quarterback that we didn't think would disappoint, a la Lamar for 3 straight years, or Russell Wilson. It's going to happen again this year. That's when you target that player, or that team that has that player. Then I take my, let's say, 2nd round running back. I upgrade it into a late 1st round running back equivalent for throwing in a quarterback. That's that strategy. But going back a minute, when you lose a quarterback, like in the case where you had Lamar, and let's say he disappoints a 4th year in a row, because he has disappointed 3 years in a row. Let's say he disappoints you 4 years in a row. Something happens. He's no longer your starter. Knock on wood. And now you have to roll to your bench. But the problem is you only have Aaron Rodgers on your bench. Now who becomes your backup? I know some people don't want to roster 3 quarterbacks, and sometimes it depends on the depth of your bench. If you only have 5 bench spots, you can't hold 3 quarterbacks. If you have 8, 9, 10 bench spots, you might be able to. If we're talking about holding a Bateman or a wide receiver 7, I'm taking the extra high-powered quarterback that could get me a bigger trade as a throw-in. These guys as a throw-in look very powerful. Some of the best trades I've ever made in fantasy football have been, let's swap pretty close to even players, even though I'm saying I'm targeting this guy's Olave using a 3rd or 4th round wide receiver. I'm targeting a player I quietly believe to be way better than an even swap, but I go to somebody who's struggling at quarterback and I say, hey, I'll give you Aaron Rodgers, who's popping off right now. And because I have a 3rd one in Jordan Love, I'm not afraid to give up Aaron Rodgers. That's the whole point of having 3 quarterbacks if your bench will allow it, is it allows you to be flexible with one of your 3 quarterbacks to then return to having 2 really good quarterbacks. And now you've got a positional upgrade you couldn't have had if you weren't astute enough to pile up your quarterback room with a bunch of gunslingers. So you go to somebody, you say, hey, give me your running back 1 for my running back 1 when you believe theirs to be a whole lot better, and I'll throw in a quarterback because you're struggling. And you rolled the dice with Russell Wilson. You rolled the dice with Anthony Richardson, who again could be a backup. A lot of people draft him like in the 7-round range, 6-round range, and then they take an Aaron Rodgers, then they want to start Aaron Rodgers but have him on the bench. I mean, he could be a backup. He could also be a player people are starting and disappoint. But these 2 are my favorite players to consume together as your backup duo behind your starter. And it's attainable. They're going in double-digit rounds. Who cares about passing on, like I said, a Bateman or an extra wide receiver 5-6 that you don't necessarily love? You're just trying to consume as many wide receivers as possible. There are so many wide receivers that could be had later that replace the wide receivers you're ignoring here. Like, I'll take Tank Dell later to grab Jordan Love earlier. I'll take Jerick McKinnon later to take Aaron Rodgers earlier. Again, it is so crucial to understand that the reason having both of these gentlemen as my backup allows me to make a move without affecting the security of my backup quarterback, because I've got 2 of them. Now, if you're in a 10-man league, an 8-man league, this doesn't work as well because everybody's got really good quarterbacks. But in a 12, especially a 14, especially a 16, you have a lot of firepower behind you. Now, I've said this before, in a 1 QB non-best ball, in best ball, sometimes we'll draft 2 big name quarterbacks early because it's optimal scoring, and on Underdog Fantasy promo code Smitty, they'll match up to $100 in your first deposit. I do recommend trying that approach. We draft tonight at about 1 a.m. Tomorrow, probably 1 a.m. So make sure you go to Underdog, use the link in the description. They'll match up to $100. But in those leagues, I'll draft 2 big name quarterbacks because it's optimal scoring. You can't get it wrong. They'll insert the highest scoring quarterback for you each week. And so it's advantageous to do a little double stack there in a 1 QB. But I want to preface right now that in a 1 quarterback league or 1 tight end league that isn't best ball, mind you, no one should be drafting 2 early quarterbacks together. Nobody should be drafting 2 early tight ends together. We had my boy Spiffy, who I love, and shout out to Spiffy for being such an amazing person, by the way. When we talk about his scenario, I don't want him to get all upset, but he took Kelsey in round 2 last year, Kyle Pitts in round 3, on the chance that he could control the tight end market. That is one of the worst ideas you could ever assemble. On top of that, taking, let's say, a Burrow and then a Fields in a 1 QB in a non-best ball, that's also an awful idea because you're putting yourself in a box and you might not have a trade offer all year long. Don't make a move that requires a move in order for you to win. That's not what I'm saying here. What I'm saying here is deep into the double-digit rounds, you're controlling the backup quarterback market that not only secures your own team. If, let's say, you draft Joe Burrow, he has a calf injury again, and now you've got 2 absolute monsters to choose from, one of which could miss because you got the other one. And it's such a secure feeling knowing you've got the 3 quarterbacks to walk into your season. No matter what happens, you will not miss a beat at the quarterback position. Not to mention you could play matchups between these guys that are double-digit round guys that are going to play like top 6 to 12 guys. But the trade power is where it's at. The ability to replace your quarterback if you do trade him away. In the example of Cooper Kupp, you got Cooper Kupp against my advice. He got injured. Now what do? Now you can trade away Lamar Jackson to a quarterback needy team and you can roll with these 2 guys, and you don't need to roll with one of them because you have 2 of them. You have 2 absolute monsters waiting in the wings, and now you don't even need to worry about making a backup quarterback move because you are prepared and you have 2 of them ready to roll. It's so stupid to be against this strategy when the alternative is to own an extra Rashad Bateman. I don't understand how this is it's dumb to hold 3 quarterbacks. It is if you're drafting them early. What I'm saying is you're consuming late guys to dominate the market, to dominate the opportunities that are out there, whether you have an injury to a Cooper Kupp and you need to get rid of Lamar Jackson or your starter, or you have somebody that gets decimated with injury and they'll go shopping for your quarterback. Probably not straight up. The key is the 2-for-1. The key is you throw in one of these guys. Justin just subscribed. Throw in one of these guys, Love or Aaron Rodgers, to get your slight bump at running back, to turn your high-end running back 2 into a high-end running back 1, to turn your wide receiver 2 into a wide receiver 1, to turn a wide receiver you got in the 3rd or 4th round into an Olave, who we believe will be a second-round player. That is the way to manipulate and control the quarterback market in a non-best ball 1 QB redraft that has larger benches. Now get out of here and go apply the strategy.
From the FantasyFootballShow.com studios, it's the Fantasy Football Show.